Okay, so welcome to today's class. This is where we stopped last week. Um, I'm going to, um, after we have placed our image planes in our scene, basically, and to make sure that at least they are kind of matching. In a way, uh, for the ear, especially this side view, the ear is looking longer than the front and the table. So for the ear, we will just wing it. Basically, winging it will just we'll use the shape, but we'll use the size of the ones on the front view, basically. Right. So once you have this, what you want to do is firstly to avoid conflict, shift them away from the grid right here. So not on the like this one is the front. You don't want to pull it on the x-axis because it will remove it from this connection. You just want to move it back behind the grid. Same with this, we want to move it behind the grid. So we're basically just moving them on the z-axis away from the grid. So here it's not going to look any different. We just need something that will help us, that we can see what we are trying to design, right? Um, are you here? Okay, yeah. Which view are you? Okay, yeah, in this view. All right. What happened? Don't just stay there. Okay, sorry. No, it's just a charger. Okay. First thing to identify, like I said, primarily you can use any shape to build 3D. Cube, cylinder, sphere, plane, anyone. But for this concept, let's do something simple. So we want to build, basically, let's using shapes, primitive shapes that look like what we are uh, designing. The first thing to build most times, usually, is the torso. So what shape does the torso look like? The torso. The torso is the body. So you can use a sphere, you can use a cylinder. Which one will we pick? Okay. Okay, let's use cylinder and I'll show you how you use a sphere as well in of uh, case of anything. So when we build a cylinder on your scene, and that's why Maya most times always starts off by organizing your objects in the center. So if I click on this, creates a cylinder. Although right now I'm not seeing my rabbit, it's blocking my rabbit, blocking my view here. So what you want to do at this point is turn on X-ray mode. If you look in your view port menu, this one that looks like two squares touching themselves. You chose sphere, and I'll choose cylinder. I'll still choose sphere. You can just press H, select the sphere and press H to hide it. H. Mhm. Then click on the cylinder. Add it. That's that cylinder. So I want to create an X-ray so that I can see through. So it's like this. If it's hard for you to identify this guy, just under shading here, just click on X-ray. Under shading, just click on X-ray to X-ray. It's only going to work on whatever view you clicked it on. It's not going to work all around the software. Okay. So then you want to position your cylinder to the point where it will be used. That's the torso itself. You want to bring it down. Probably scale it down. Scale is R. Use on the Y-axis to scale it. Actually, before we even scale it down like that, drag it in the middle to scale it uniformly till it matches the thickness your um, of your torso. Drag it uniformly in the front axis, not in the side view. You know, if you do it in the side view, there's no problem. But if you do it in the side view, don't do it in the front view again. If you wow, 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 wow. You see? Yeah, but it's only visible on the view you put it on. So go to the front view, then turn it on the front view again. Yeah, I said do it on the front view as well. Since we are using those two views, so we want to see them. Mm. Okay. All right. Now that we have this, we want to go into our attribute editor and want to add some um, subdivisions to count for how many curves we can get from this guy. You can't orbit around an orthographic. You can't orbit in an orthographic view. It's a 2D view. As you can't alt and left mouse. You can only alt and right mouse or middle mouse. Mm. Mm. Okay, so I want to find out how many subdivisions I will need for my cylinder across the height so that we can cut through this guy here. I think let me reduce this one size a little bit darker. We see and we can see what I'm doing here. All right, so I want to cut some lines. We need to see how the curve of the body is to know where we might need some cuts to exist. So I need, let's say, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 5 divisions across the length of this guy. So subdivisions height, we want to have 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want to have at least 5 lines for our subdivisions height. That's for the cylinder. Subdivisions in your attribute editor, you'll see that your subdivisions height 6. The third tab, remember, that's not your attribute editor, that's the channel box. Attribute editor for the see it there for the third tab, subdivisions. Yeah, subdivide by at most 6. Then subdivision axis. Remember, we need as few points as possible. You don't need too many divisions running across 6. We don't need many divisions here as on the body, so we need them to be less. So you can make, although this is not those kind of very detailed blocking, but you can reduce this subdivisions axis from 20 to 12. You can make it 12 instead of 20. Although this is not a very detailed object, but I just want us to start out like this so we understand why I'm breaking this into 12. When you are blocking, the primary ideology is to create a perfect sync based on the structure of the design that you are trying to work on, not necessarily the uh, people will say, not necessarily the not centralized. Centralized. Okay. I can manage to sound like this. Okay. No, I'm trying to do this. This one I was not talking to you. I was talking to myself. How? Okay. So I said when blocking, you're basically just trying to get the structure first. You're not really worried about fine tuning. You're just trying to block out the image, and later you can fine tune. So for the torso, subdivision axis 12, subdivision height 6. Don't worry about caps for now. We don't really need that. Then that subdivision caps don't really need that section. So we can get rid of that later. So very simply, we want to now reshape the cylinder to match the body of the bunny. Then the best way to do it is using vertices. Do not use faces or edges first. Use vertices. So the smallest component of your shape, which is the vertex, you want to switch to vertex mode. Then this point is very important. When you are scaling your vertices, do not, if you scale on one end, like let's say I pick this one now, and I want to scale it, I pick all this whole loop in the middle. If I scale it uniformly in my top view, don't come to your side view and scale uniformly again. On the next view, scale it on one axis, because if you scale it uniformly again, it will affect the previous one that you did. So what we're just going to be doing for now is adjusting the scale of each of these points to match the shape of the body of the object. Right. So scale and move on your, use your move tool to adjust when the scale is. Yep. All right. I'm hearing. Big house. You zoom in now. I know zooming, but you have to reduce the cylinder. I didn't reduce the cylinder, I just zoom in. Wait, what? Yeah, zoom in first. Your cylinder is looking big. Alt, you can drag, click and drag. Alt, then click to drag up. Good. So if you right click and go back to model mode. No, no, right click on the scene. Go back to object mode. So you've not scaled it down yet. You have to scale it first to size up to this. So first, move it down first. Okay, not too much. Go up. Scale it down. You using the shortcut. Nope, nope. Middle, middle. Scale it down. Let this side scale. Keep scale. Let them match up to the stomach. So it's gone into inside. Good. Right. So you're working from there now. Bring it up, raise it up small. It's all right. So you're now working from here. So now I'll be using like what we're doing here, vertices, scale down, and adjust likewise. So take advantage of using your shortcuts. W is move, E is rotate, R is scale, Q is select. That's your selection tool. Same thing with what we did in 3ds Max. So it shouldn't be too complex. So at the end, you should have the block following the curvature of your object at the end. Then for another thing, you also check, there are parts of the body that are curved. Make sure the vertices on your loop are curved as well, following those body curves. Like for instance, look at this part here. This part at the tip of the belly. The curves are, the loops are not supposed to be straight. You should rotate them to follow the curve of the body. so that it looks more real or more organic, following the design of the objects. Yes, was a huge question of I didn't reduce the opacity. I turn on X-ray mode. So either you click on it here, or if your screen is small and you can't see it, just come to your shading. Where you have shading, see X-ray there. Check it. It only affects the view you clicked on it. So if you want to do it on the other view as well. Mhm. Right click. Boom, 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 boom. This is just blocking. No, this is just blocking. Just the object looks rigid, but it has taken the form of what we are looking for. If you press 3 on your keyboard, you see it in its smooth value. So it will now actually take shape from the design you're actually trying to get. Naming convention in Maya is very important because if you have a lot of things and you don't name them well, you know. All right. Outliner, this one. No, there's no way it's there. Oh, the system is quite small. Okay, it's there actually. It's just that because the system is small, so it's pushed down somewhere. I can't somewhere. Let's come here. We'll use somewhere else and activate it. Here I am. Let me see. Let me get it out. Go and bring it here. Put it here. Put this group. Right here. Enter the folder. So this guy, name it also. Okay, so let's hide this one. I want to show you something. This is using a poly cylinder. So just hide it. To hide this H, just H. Hide it. And let's create a sphere. Imagining we're going to use a sphere to do the same object. You had your sphere before, so click on in your outliner, click on the sphere. You should see it grayed out like this. Then press H again. Okay. Now I want to do this same part we just did. I want to show two ways of doing this guy. So for the sphere, same thing. We want to reduce the subdivision height and axis just a little bit because right now there's just too many subdivs. So we want to reduce the subdivision axis 12. Then this one we use what was it that we used last time? I think 7 or 5 still. So I use, was it 6, right? Yeah. So you can use 6, or you can even just leave it at the same 12. The thing about using a sphere for this kind of modeling, see me, I'm clicking, I'm pressing this, I'm pressing on my laptop, sorry. Okay, so if I scale down to get the curve, the sphere is very cool to get that initial curve aspect of the lower part of the body. Very nice. So even if we reduce these guys, it's a little bit nicer than the polygon. Let me make this guy 8 like this. Then the same thing you will do in the vertex mode. Same thing you will do. You want to select and scale down uniformly, and then move, adjust. But then you also want to rotate because it's anchored at different points. Move this. Want to rotate it a little bit. Select this. So notice I'm just using my keyboard shortcut to get this guy selected. It's easier to work that way with keyboard shortcuts. That's R, E, W. The sphere. The sphere is good. Cylinder is good, but there are points where the sphere will not help, especially when we have to merge some other stuff. So I'm trying to show how the sphere can be useful in getting you the shape nicely. Okay, can help you in getting the shapes effectively based on the fact that this part of the our guy is a little bit more spherical. A little bit more spherical. So whether we are using a sphere or a cylinder or a cube, we can still achieve a design, the same design that we've been trying to get for whatever objects that you are going for. The context now will be which one will help you achieve the result faster and which one will give you less issues when trying to solve for um, attaching other points of the body. Okay, so this is sphere, and it still gave me a similar design, right? So basically that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to hide my sphere and bring back my cylinder. Okay, now we want to get the leg. We want to get the leg. We will get obviously a cylinder again, and then you just measure the cylinder according to the leg. You do one leg, preferably do the leg on your right. Most times it's although it's not really a law, it's just that it's most commonly people model on what is on their right first and mirror it to their left. Anybody can do it from any angle, any of the, yeah. Just like when you're mirroring it now, you have to know, okay, minus x or plus x that you're mirroring for. Okay, so same thing, you want to subdivide the cylinder again. This one you can subdivide it, the height, to something like 5, subdivision height 5. But then the subdivision axis for the torso we did 12. When it comes to the legs and the hands, you want to do 8, not 12 as well. You want to do 8. So subdivision axis 8, subdivisions height 5. Subdivision height 5. So spin. Yeah, yeah. Skip. Mm. So create a cylinder. This time, subdivision axis 8, subdivisions height 5. Then you can scale down to let it match the thickness of the legs first, and then scale up to match the height of the leg. Wow. Can we continue? Moving on. So do this exact same things we did with the torso. Um, vertex mode, and then question. Be the question, sir. Okay. It is the vertices. See red points. Yeah, not red. Yeah, pink. It's red when it's highlighted. You are not scaling 2 point. You are scaling the whole head. I want to scale it. I'll first of all scale it uniformly, but right now it is already the same thickness here, right? So if I scale it, it will get inside again. I won't touch this. Rather, I will check here. This one is also equal, so I won't scale this. But let's say somewhere like this one now, I want to scale this, and I see that it also equal here. So on one place, I will scale it uniformly to achieve the height, and I will move to make sure it's actually accurate. Then once it's accurate here, I can now come to this view, right? And if it's not accurate on this view, I will now scale, but not uniformly. I'll scale on an axis and make sure it matches. Then because this thing is curving this way, this also has to be straight. I have to now rotate it to curve as well to match the direction of the leg. So all these guys too, as this one is coming out here, it's not too bad here. So I will scale uniformly here so that it thickens here. Then here I will push it in and move and check it. And then I will rotate it. Tracing is not your strong point. Okay, what's the okay? A little bit. Please get it, not just a little bit. So that this guy will not use you and shine today. The guy behind you, the guy behind you.
Sir, how do you make this like the background looks
Select the background.
like the background?
Mhm. On your left, in your attribute editor, you see here color gain. Reduce the color gain. Mhm. Ah, who's, whose guy is crying there? Go, go, Power Rangers! Okay, So if you are done with that one, let me know.
Okay, sir, can you show your wife?
We will. We don't need to make a second leg. For the second leg, we will use an attribute called a mirror that will mirror whatever we have here. So for the hand is similar to the leg. So you can use,
Um,
yeah,
sir, how did you get the bottom
uh, pick, just pick the vertices and roast them up. Put the particular vertices on those edges. Then I just see, just like this. Just pick those particular ones. So,
to? I hold control on the video.
shit. Control is from 3ds Max. Right. And, so you use the same technique for the hand. Now, three things. Since the hand looks like the leg in this design, you can make a copy and just scale it down. That's one. Two, you can make another cylinder. Or three, you can use a sphere, but this time you use something we call soft selection. So like a sphere like this now, reducing this guy subdivision axis to, let me do 8, and this one, let me keep this one at 8 as well. So rotating the sphere, making sure on the x-axis, the sphere rotates 90 degrees, or this is x. So I can actually do it on the z-axis so that it's facing this direction instead of facing the other way around. So can scale down. So that aspect of soft selection I was talking about, this is how it works. To activate the soft selection key in Maya is to use B on your keyboard. On your modeling toolkit, we have soft selection here. Just enable it. What soft selection allows you to do is, like when we've been picking up all these other guys, the as we've been picking up all the other guys, the way the vertices have been behaving, they've been behaving unique. Like you have to pick a loop of vertices for them to be affected, or you pick one and affect one alone. But with soft selection, you can affect more than one object. So, like, if I want to extend this hand now without the scale, or let's say I scale this guy down. Let me check this view. Let's say I scale this guy like this, right? So I scale him like this. Then see what soft selection will do. I can pick this guy, just this point, or I can pick just this point, or maybe 2 points here. Turn on soft selection. Now notice how it will turn yellow. Good. So it's not yellow, it's yellow. Then here I have options of volume, surface, global. So what that does is, if I press B and drag, right, it will show me a kind of influence circle. The parts that are colored are the places that are influenced. The places that are not colored are not influenced. So I can do something like this. Just with my move key, I don't need to use scale. I just drag and it kind of elongates the tool. So see what I'm doing this. If I drag, you see what is in. It can make me make a longer version of that singular object. So it kind of makes it uh, easier for me to, yeah. So I can use it to just softly adjust the axis of this guy to get that connection or that move I'm looking for. That's what soft selection does. I can actually achieve drawing the shape without having to scale open. I'll just select one part, use soft selection and round it up. Adija. Right. So I can use soft selection and achieve that. And he's there. Which any of the miss. So usually you don't use the other one you know so far. Yeah, okay. There's something I want to I want to quickly show you, and like I was saying, why you say, okay, why are we picking what's the word now? Why are we picking those specific numbers like 12, 8, and all? Why are we using those numbers? So I'm going to show you why. Many times when you are modeling like this kind of bunny, we use different shapes, right? At the end of the day, you want to stitch them together or weld them together. So one of the things we do in modeling, because we are modeling both two sides, left hand, right hand, left leg, right leg, as in we're modeling what they call them now, symmetry or symmetrically. When you create a part of the body like the torso, for instance, that's one, it's usually connected by two symmetries. The torso has left hand, right hand, left leg, right leg, right? So when you create the torso, if I will be creating this section of the legs, I want to cut off this half of the torso so that I weld them naturally. And then when I mirror this second part of the torso, it mirrors with the hand and leg together. So normally, when we've made like this, I will select all the faces along this section, this half, all the faces on that half of the object, like this half of the object, and delete it so that I have just half of the model's body. Yeah. So many times when we are modeling, we only model half of the object, not two sides. Because like I said, we are trying to manage the sculpting or the reforming of the blocks. So you want to have as few points as possible to work with. So we go to face mode, select half of the model and cut it. And that's one of the reasons why we use the reference images and the grid, that grid line, so that we can tell where the half is. We can use it to divide this. Yes.
Subdivisions, axes and points used for several
For what I did with the sphere, I used the same number I used with the cylinder. That's I used 8. I used 8
eight for
everywhere. I used 8 for both sides. So let's see something here. This leg, can we count how many vertices this top side has? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 vertices, right? Yeah, good. You said 8, but your mouth said 6. Okay. Yeah. So let me hide this. If you look at this under part now from the place that we have cut, how many vertices can I get around like this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hmm? So it's now easy for me to attach the leg to this because they have the same number. So that's why we use those numbers. 12 here, 8 here. So we get it for measurement. Otherwise, we will have to start adding loops to create matching sections or matching subdivisions. You must match subdivisions. You must. Is it? You must match them. If you don't match them, you won't be able to weld them, because welding is not by faces, it's by vertices. At the worst, by edges. But you have to have a loop. The concept is having a loop. So when you have those vertices now, so now that I've cut this guy into half, okay, and I can bring back my the leg, the rabbit's leg, not my leg. This is the left side, left leg of the rabbit. So I'll call it L leg, like left leg. This one, we'll call it left hand, because it's on the rabbit's left, even though it's on my right. So same thing with the sphere now that I have this connection here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When I come into this guy, this subdivision here, I want to have a loop here that will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so that the hand will connect to that point there. So let me start with this leg. To connect your object to the leg, you obviously first of all need to combine the objects together. Let the software see them as one object. That will make it easier for you to do what you need to do. So I'm going to let the software see this as one object. And then for this one, I want to also adjust these points to follow along with the way the body is going, so it's easier for my model. Like this, and take this here, and take this here. Okay, so see what's going to happen here. We're going to do a combine option or a combine technique, and I want you guys to observe how that is done. I'll switch to my modeling toolkit so we can see it. Let me hide this guy and turn on this one that was cut. So because this leg is going to be attached to this place here, I need all these sections here. I need something specific, right? So I will go into my, I'll actually go and create some faces here. More these faces, these three faces. I want to create another loop inside. So I will do my extrude. Remember, I will click here and then create a loop like this, just an inner loop, so that I can adjust this design to fit what I'm trying to get. So this I can move this way. I'm just moving them out of the way. And these ones are the ones that will be used to join the leg. So maybe something like this. So I want to now delete all these guys here. I want to delete all these guys here so that there's just that hole there. There's that space where the other leg can come in from. So that's the basic essence of cutting up that loop so that I could have this subsection here. Design. Yeah. And then if I bring in that leg back now, my outliner H, these sections is what I want to connect to this part of the leg. I want to connect two of them, these holes to this place here. I can raise this guy up here. Right. Now this one, let's come down and bring it down. I want to be able to see very well. Okay, so this is what happens. You will select both of them in object mode, two of them. The software has to see two of them as a unified body. I can just duplicate this guy so that I can hide him. Let me hide the original. Let me duplicate the leg as well. That I can do it over and over again. So I want to select this and this together, and in my modeling toolkit or under mesh where we can work on the object as a whole, I want to use the term combine to make them one singular object. Maya will now see two of them as one. So when I click combine, here we are seeing two things selected, right? Once I click combine, this one that was saying green and white now, it will now become green alone. Now be green. So Maya now sees it as one object. In the outliner, it's seen as one object, the torso. That's what it's saying as. So we have these icons here to show that there was once a shape group for the torso and the shape group for the leg. But now that we have combined them, it is seeing only one mesh. Once you get that one mesh, you can now come to your modeling toolkit or on your shelf here, this one that looks like this bracket here, target weld. We want to weld the vertices together. So this is what we're going to do here. I want to pick these vertices and weld them according to the ones that are facing themselves. So like this to this, I want to weld them. I want to weld this to this. Okay. I want to weld this to this to this. I want to weld this to this. I want to weld um, this to this to this, and this to this. So now all these are welded together. I can now come back and this shape is connected to this body part now. So I can now come and start refining maybe this vertex now because it's now seeing it as one shape. It's seeing them as one shape, not as two objects anymore, but as one. So Technically, in modeling, this is how you want to connect your objects. You want to make sure that everything is intact and working according to themselves. So, because when you start creating movements in your character, when you start creating movements in your character, all these things will be important to find out how this object is moving. Okay, so that it's one singularity. So if you press 3 now, you can see that it has solidified and it has smoothened out. Okay, so that's the whole essence of why we did what we did.
Like all the vertices on the left side.
Yes. If you like, you can cut off these faces if you want to. All the faces, sorry, not vertices,
Vertex,
faces.
face.
Just to create a
Yeah.
Is it? You're sweet, huh? So you see how everything has smoothened out now. So this is why we merge or you weld the vertices together when you create a hand and different from a leg. So that once you put, there's nothing wrong in just joining them like that, right? But when it starts walking or moving, you will be seeing the fact that they are separate objects. So you'll be seeing that division in the line. But once you weld them like this, it now becomes like one smoothened out object, which is easy to work. So that is the reason why I said this, is to show you why we make those selection of numbers like 12 here, 8 here, 8 here. Yes.
The bunny is actually not that much.
Repeat.
When wasn't the thing the bunny and the mean that the parts was stitched, literally stitched together. Mean that in the image, in the reference itself, it's all separate parts.
In the image is separate parts that are stitched together with like needle and thread and a button. So they don't have needle and thread there. So you have to now stitch it.
Well, was supposed to make
Mm.
what's it called? It's supposed to represent what.
You are supposed to represent what's inside the object. Yes, to some point, yes.
Yes. So
Mm.
if we're sticking it together and making it
Mm.
one unit,
Mm.
does it not kind of go against what?
No, because in the drawing is working as one unit.
I mean,
Mm.
the this thing. Okay, what if at some point in the animation it loses that half? Like it's possible because it's a flush, right? That was stitched together.
Yeah.
What if the thread break?
What if the thread breaks?
Mm.
And if you are going to make an object that's why I said in the beginning, before you model, you have a plan of how the object will function before you even start modeling. So like the car we use that will have separated parts, you make separated parts. So, but in a character, most times every part is going to work as one unit. So it's not going to be separated parts, it's going to be flush parts. If you want to create this bunny like a stitch that, okay, yeah, the hand will go up, like I said, there's nothing wrong in making this guy just like the way we did. Just make this cylinder. Just carry this one and add. Now carry this one and add, and this one and add, and good. Now that is the drawing. It makes sense. When it starts working, now you add your bones to it. When you start working, you have a lot of hinges, or let's say what a twist on those points there. Like this now, I can leave this hand like this, but by the time this hand has to come down, has to fall down and move, there will be an issue here where it's connected to the body. Because right now, you don't see any issue because it's just hanging on T-poles. But once this hand has to come down and stay here, it will have to come down completely. So coming down now means you have to now make a loop that will make this place flexible so that this place will remain the way this hook is now, the way this point is, has to always be like this inside this torso. Otherwise, once this hand is rotated downwards, this is what will happen. That point is going to move. Okay, and if that point moves, you're going to have an issue with that connection there.
So we're getting at this separate. It doesn't have to be one mesh.
Now, when you are rigging, it's the same thing like we're saying, flushing it down. Because when you rig the torso to the arm, you are rigging it with that purpose that that guy is not going to be disconnected from this body, and the bone will go from the torso to the arm. So if you are going to, like say maybe
Not just a matter of shifting the bones.
no matter of shifting. When you rig the bone, it starts from here. Then from here, this hand is connected to the chest muscle and on like that. So the bone doesn't come separately, and this one is separate. They are one unit. So when you are building a character, it's not like drawing. Everything has to function as one unit. If I want to cut off his hand, it's simple as me to just use my this and cut it off. Use something and cut it off. But there are times when, like I said, there's nothing bad in having like uh let me say I have this sphere guy. I have this cylinder as the neck or the body of that sphere. And then probably I have another cylinder. Okay. I have another cylinder pointed this way, which will be like the hand of this something like this. Now this could be the hand for this guy here. This would be the hand. You could have models like this that are just join. When you start out as modeling, normally that's what we will tell people to do. Just attach them, and let them move. Okay. So for now, we are not having that time to build a complete model, attach, and then come and rebuild the model, combine. We don't have that luxury of time. Already, even in this building, without combining, we've already wasted all this time. I mean, lift your head up from the bed or from the chair. So I could attach this guy like this and rig him like this. Nothing wrong with this. I will just need to add more, what is it called? More loops here so that this place can be a little bit more flexible so that it bends. Because right now, if it bends the way it is, the loop count here is very minimal. So if I go to vertices and switch here and try to bend all these guys, it will not look very smooth. So I have to add more loops to this point to make it flexible. So when you are starting out modeling, we start you out like that to make sure you understand first how to join things together. But when you start doing character design, which we are doing, we don't cut and join. In fact, many of the times you bring out everything from one object. So if I'm creating this bunny now, I can start from the cylinder and start projecting out every part from that same cylinder to get the same shape so that it will avoid me making multiple shapes and then stitching them together later, right? So we are skipping all the long processes of trying to achieve uh, modeling by what they call that this thing, that techniques, cut and join, but to achieve something that will make us have a complete model. Because as I'm doing this modeling now for you guys, the next thing I want from you people is to go and actually pick one of those references today, as in, and by tomorrow, bring your own model for me to see. So you pick one of those references that we selected from those collections. So I picked certain references. I said we'll work on those six. So, and I think this guy was one of them. I just can't remember. We didn't put this dog, right? Okay, but now I put some things there. Don't worry, I'll find him. Not hard. Modeling, source images. Good. All right, so we have the bunny, we have these robots, we have this humanoid guy. Good. So now this guy is not as simple as it is because you need to know how to model the hand, first of all, and two, there's no hand left view reference for the hand. So you have to wing it. That is, you have to now construct the fingers from the back of your head. So that's what makes this model hard. It is the fact that it doesn't have a hand reference, so you can't get it. So you now have to get a picture reference of a hand, how it looks like you're standing. So this bunny is here. This is what we're doing. So when you look at this guy, this the same thing we are doing on the bunny that you will do for all these characters, including those cars, including the car. The same thing you will do. You will start by constructing everything, right? But in a car, this place doesn't detach from here. It doesn't. You are seeing locks where they come out this. This place doesn't detach from it. So when you're building this car, for instance, this place will be extruded out of this place. Same thing with this point. The only places that will be different are these two doors. But this is the trick here. You don't create them from different shapes. You bring them out from this original shape and then you extract it out. Because if you bring it from a different shape, that's going to be a whole lot of work for you. Like that car that we use as the pivot training that I showed you, that I said I made different shapes. It's not carry one cylinder, they carry one box, they carry one boxes. Everything started from one box. Then once I made the shape of the door, I extracted the door. Under edit mesh here, we have detach, that when you select, I think I showed that in that table I did when I did the drawer. you select the faces and detach it so that it becomes something different, something that can slide away from the original. But then the table is still there, but it's part of the table. And that's because the table is not going to work. It's going to be stable. Same thing with the car. The car is not going to work. The only thing that will move in the car is the doors. Nothing else moves in the car. The roof doesn't come up unless it's a convertible. The windscreen does not go down and up. So even though it's a separate object, it still has to be gummed to the body of the car. Right. So same thing like with this character now. Everything is moving, right? But it's not coming out of this hand of the torso. So it's smarter to stitch it together to the torso. So like I was saying, for character design, you want to make sure you are stitched to the body. That is, the legs and the hands are stitched to the body so that you don't have issues when it comes to modeling a walk or animating a walk cycle or even texturing, because if they are all separate, you have to texture them differently. Okay, so now this one is done. I need to mirror it to this side. Yes, you guys are too slow in this class. I don't like it. Continue like this, you're not going to finish anytime in December. This bunny should not have taken us 30 minutes. It's the easiest design, and we spent an hour plus. Hmm? That's unacceptable. So now I'm going to mirror this guy. You finish, you watch the video. And I'm going to mirror this guy. And the pivot point, first of all, is not in a good place. It's somewhere here. So if I mirror it, it's going to come. So let me show you how to mirror. Because this is a singular mesh now, it's easy to mirror. So if I come under mesh, I have the mirror option here. If I click on the box, I can see the settings for my mirror. So I want it to mirror along the x-axis, but in the negative direction. That is, I want it to mirror in the negative direction. So there's y, there's z. Offset is how far away from the original point should it go and stuff like that. So if I turn off this cut geometry, for instance, I can change this guy to instance so that if I mirror it and I start adjusting maybe this other side, it will also adjust on the side. But if I don't, if I leave it on cut geometry, it will just leave it as a copy, where if I work on one side, I still have to go and work on the other side. So let me just show you an example now. So if I click on apply to mirror this, it creates a mirror, right? So duplicate on two sides. So it has actually just filled up my guy. It has actually just filled up my model. If I press 3, you can see very seamless connection here. And this is what you are actually looking for. There are times you make a mirror and when you finish, you still see one seam line in the middle. And that's not good in modeling. So you have to mirror this. All right. So if I mirrored it like this, let me go back to one. If I go to vertices, if I select this guy and move him, it's not going to move on the other leg. So probably I was trying to adjust this size of this leg. This one now I have to still come back and do it again. Good. So let me undo all that. So if I turn on instance and apply, now I have an instance. So if I come here, I pick a vertex. By the time I pick, you can see that as I'm highlighting, it's also highlighting on the other side. If I pick this and move it, it also moves on the other side as well. So if I'm mirroring and I'm not done with the model yet, I just want to mirror so that it will keep me focused on what is going on. I would want to do an instance so that when I'm making more adjustments, like, okay, maybe I zoom in and I realize, oh, this place is not so smooth, like this belly is not so smooth, I want to bring it back. It also happens on this side of the model. But if I'm done, as in I know that I'm not doing anything again, I will just do cut geometry and make it a copy. Cut geometry, that's the first one. That's copy. Like this cut geometry is copy. It will just get me exactly what I have, and it's not expecting me to make any more adjustments. So I do that when I'm ready to rig. I know that everything is perfect, no more readjustment. And once you rig, you can't adjust the model afterwards, because once you rig, you bind the skin to the rig, that is to the skeleton. It takes a whole new form. If you try to start doing adjustments afterwards, you will mess up the rig. In fact, you mess up everything about the character. So that's why the concept of creating models is very dicey. You have to already know what you want to do before you start modeling. Don't um, don't model, and while you are going around the line, you now realize, oh, there's something I did not do, and let me try and do it now. So from beginning, know what you want to do. This guy, is he going to work? Yes. So you create the model in a way that will support him walking. Not that when he's walking now, then when the leg bends, you start seeing twitches in the polygon faces. And you're not like, oh, I didn't put enough loops, or oh, I didn't stitch this one to this one. Like, notice when I stitched this guy, I didn't just stitch him, I had to delete those faces, because while those faces were still there, when he was smooth, it now had one ugly line showing. So whenever you stitch two polygons, you must delete the inside face. Otherwise, to give you something you don't you don't like, because it will look at that inside face as something else. Remember, this is a software, so it doesn't know what you want to do. It's you that will tell it what you want to do and how the object will function. So this same stitching too, you do it with the hand. Then for this bunny now, his head doesn't have, again, neck. So you just, obviously, but there's nothing that doesn't have a neck. It needs to have something to roll on top, and it cannot roll on top of the body. So you need to create a very tiny neck, even though it's going to be inside the head. But create a very, very tiny neck that this head will be supported on. So for the head, the same thing. You can just use a sphere and dump it. And because this guy has a weird combination in his head, the eyes are different. The only thing that is the same is the ears. So you don't need to make a sphere and cut it into half. You just make a complete sphere. Then model one ear and mirror that ear. So for this one, just add a sphere and scale it down to the head. Mm. This one is not a this one is not geophysics, so just scale it down. So the head is rounder on this side than on this side. So you now need to do some of your major or minor adjustments. Just make it 15. And then you can now scale generally. So it's just going to be one head. You won't make multiple uh, cuts and stuffs about it. So you just round it up, give it its normal head view. You can block it out as well to 12 points if you like, because the end of the day is you are going to smoothen it out. So don't try not to uh, engage in making sure the model is perfectly rounded or smoothed when you start blocking. Blocking phases, your model is not supposed to be very perfect, it's supposed to be rough. It's just to get that structure. Then when you smooth it out, it will now become smooth. So for this head, that's all. It's just done there. Then for this one, this you can use a sphere. You can also use a cylinder to get it. That's the ear. But if you are going to use a sphere, then we are going to go in this direction. You want to make sure it's rotated facing the direction of the ear, okay, like that, so that it's that way. You want to obviously reduce these guys so that it has less, I think 8 will be fine. That it has less connection here. Then that same thing we did with the soft selection. That's how you will get these ears down. So keep this guy here and scale this down this way to match. Let's rotate it like this. Get it to match the ear. And then you go to vertex mode, select these vertices with these edges, soft selection B on the keyboard or Modeling 2 key, turn on soft selection here, and drag this part down, or you can increase the influence holding B and your mouse click. That when you drag it, drags organically. Drag it down that place there. Then you can bring this one in, bring this one in. So the concept of soft selection just makes it's like sculpting in a way. Like sculpting in a way, you're just trying to make the objects um, organic generally. So now that you have this part of the ear, now check from this section now. Now I'm saying this um, side view, the ear is kind of longer than here. So we won't really bother with that. We'll just work on the the curvature, and maintain this height that we already have. Let me turn off soft selection. Let me go into my, okay, I'm still in
That's why
vertex
when
mode.
you're drawing, oh,
Yeah, I don't start doing that speaking English that nobody else understands except you. Speak this guy. I want to make him. So technically, everything you do in modeling is very similar. The same way we were scaling down, scaling around the other parts, the same way you are doing these ones as well. So no matter the kind of model you're modeling, high-end models or low-end models, picking up of let me use this guy. Yes. Okay. So whether it's high-end models or low-end models. And remember, we have this guide out row selection along group. Use this one. Not even seeing this. Okay. So pick this. Now it's very important when you're picking them that you should pick them by marquee. Don't just pick a point and don't just pick a point and think, oh, that it is selecting the one behind. It may not necessarily be selecting the one behind. So this other one, I'll just assume this part is this curve. So I will just curve this one down like this, make it look like this shape. So I'm just forming using my context to get the shape of that ear.
Was really almost would reopen the picture of Photoshop and then slightly so that the end
You edit it slightly. Now you need to trim off part of the ear. Trim off part of the ear. Maybe you have to be careful not to lose detail of that section. So this is just an ear. So we don't necessarily even need to be too careful with the detail because this rabbit ear is not as detailed as a human ear. So play around this. So right. And I can play with this ear as it is. I can play with this ear as it is. I can play with this ear as it is. So right here, I already have this section bent like this. So you're now going to get this depression here, these faces, you select those faces and you extrude them. In your extrude, we first use the inset extrusion. Okay, push it in this way. Afternoon. Now you have that inset extrusion there. Okay, and that gives you that inner feel. You can now play with the vertices and push this one in more entirely the way you like. Since I'm not using the reference, so this is what we'll call winging it, because many times in your reference models, they may not necessarily follow what you feel is accurate. But the important thing is just get the work done. Just get the work done. That's what matters. So, so let's say this is the ear I want to work with. So if that's the ear I want to work with, just push it in. So if I go into mirror now, same thing, you mirror it for the other side. So you can see where the mirror kept the ear, and that's because of where the axis points was this. So let me even check what mirror settings I have here. Okay, I have instance. So I need to change the axis of this guy. Since I'm not mirroring based on him, I'm mirroring based on this other one. I need to change the central point of this guy to this center here. So I want to bring this one here and rotate it to be straight here. Since that is going to be the axis, it's mirroring according to the axis of another shape, right? And then, so the mirror should follow this other axis on the x-axis. It should follow, sorry, I didn't set it. Don't need an instance, you need a copy. And then it follows that side because it's following that same axis that I put there. So it's seeing this as a center and making a mirror with that same offset. So otherwise, it will keep making a mirror here because of where the original axis for this guy was at that time, which was here. But because the axis has come here, it now mirrored based on this one. So the same distance from here to here, the same distance from here to here. Then you have your rabbit. This one, we did a mirror before, right? Just mirror that one. Didn't do for this hand. So let's see. This axis, I have to also bring this hand axis to the center. Even though I've not joined this hand to the body yet, but I can bring the axis to the center as well. So that when you mirror it, the mirror should take the guy to the other side exactly following that. So now you now have one finished model. Even though these guys are now multiple. So select them, press 3. So fish parts look nice. When you have place like this, you have this very clear demarcation, which shows that, oh, this guy is not really connected to this head. So that's why we stitch the objects together. Otherwise, it will be just, you'll just see the demarcation like that. And ears are not demarcated like that. There's a point where it joins to the skin. So that's what you try to adjust or do when you're modeling. You stitch body to head. Right? So that's how we create a model. So it's very interesting, if you say so. So yes, I want you to go and practice because everything that has been done so far, and like I said, that you do with any other kind of modeling you are going to do, is basically trace out the reference. Just trace it out. No matter how many shapes you are using, trace it out. Just make sure that when you finish designing, like this guy now, it and the model are in the same. It's just like you just scanned it over there so that it maintains the same height, it maintains the same reference and everything. There are some like this one. This one is even good. There are some models that the front view and side view, follow, but you have to do that model. So that's where you wing. I would say wing it. Just wing it. Use your initiative. Just gather things together and get it working. So the assignment is very simple. Complete this model before tomorrow morning. Bring it like this tomorrow. Complete it.
Now, how I press 3, how do I make room?
One. Mm.
Also about stitching.
Just create them first. I'll work on that stitching again tomorrow. I'll show you guys the stitching. Just create the different parts. Yeah, because for the stitching part, you need to do it again. Or if you can watch the clip, watch the clip. Where is it? Okay. You can watch the clip